Thank you for joining us. We are delighted to have you once again. Our today's topic is using conditional formatting to apply banded rows or columns. In this topic, you'll learn about how to use conditional formatting to apply banded rows on your Excel table in your Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Adding a color to alternate rows or columns, often called color banding, can make the data in your worksheet easier to scan. To format alternate rows or columns, you can quickly apply a preset table format. By using this method, alternate row or column shading is automatically applied when you add rows and columns. You can also use a conditional formatting rule to apply different formatting to specific rows or columns. By the end of this topic, you will be able to learn how to apply color to alternate rows or columns, how to copy conditional formatting to other cells that has the rule applied, how to select a rule type and use a formula to determine which row to format, how to create and edit a conditional formatting rule. Let's get started. If you've worked with Excel's table feature, you're probably familiar with the term banded rows. We're looking at a worksheet with that name, and we might want to have every fifth row here have a different color, or every 10th row, every third row. If we do convert this to a table, and it's not truly necessary to do that, we will get that look on the Insert tab. After having clicked within the data, we can choose Table, and there are some advantages to turning data into a table. It enhances the entity aspect of the data, treat it as a unit, it facilitates sorting and filtering, but its immediate visual effect is to apply banded rows. We see the look here. And if that were not enough, there's some choices there, up to 61 choices of how we might make this look. They all have that banded row, every other row, different color there. But we don't have to do that, we can use conditional formatting to get the same effect, and have a bit more flexibility. So I'm going to undo this feature here by pressing Ctrl-Z, undoing my last action. Now, when we apply banded rows, we could be thinking of having banded rows all the way across the worksheet, from column A all the way out to that 16,000th column. Let's just highlight the cells here though, I think that's more likely to be used. Now, before actually doing this, I want to point out two functions that we're about to use. One of them is called row. This function simply will tell us the row number of a given cell, and you might be wondering, why would I ever use that? So what's the row number of this cell? You know the answer ahead of time, it's 4. That's exactly what we see. Nevertheless, we will be using that as we talk about how to highlight every fourth row, or every fifth row. The other function we're going to be using is called mod. The mod function simply gives us the remainder in a division, and that sounds a little bit strange too. So if, for example, if I type in the number 12, 5, it means divide 12 by 5, don't give me the answer, which is 2.4, give me the remainder, which is 2. In other words, we divide 12 by 5, we've got a remainder of 2, that's the answer we'll get out of this. And if we apply that to the row number, that means we could identify, if we're thinking of every fifth row, those rows where when we divide the row number by 5 the answer is 0, when we get the remainder. Same thing with 10, same thing with 15. So, let's select just these cells right here, go to conditional formatting, establish a rule here, a new rule, use a formula to determine which cells to format. So, equal mod, and what are we looking at as we use this function? We're looking at the row number of the current cell. So, as we type row here, we don't have to put in any kind of cell reference at all, we just end this with an open and closed paren. For every single cell that's highlighted in the background, we're going to be looking at its row number and dividing it by 5. And when the answer, in terms of its remainder, is equal to 0, then we want to apply formatting. So that means rows 5, 10, 15, divide them by 5, what's the remainder? It's 0. Those are the ones we want to have formatted. I'm going to highlight this and copy it so we can see it larger in a moment. I'll paste it on the worksheet. Format. I'll make these be yellow. Click OK, and you see what's happened. Here's that formula. As I paste it right here in cell I2, that's the formula, that's all it is. And after looking at that for a while, and thinking about what it means, you could easily revisit this. We could change that 5 to a 4, we could change it to a 10, to have highlighting every 4 rows, or every 10 rows, something like that. And here, we're not really basing conditional formatting on content, we're basing it on location. So if I were to remove row 7 here, I'm about to delete it, the yellow cells here in row 10 will move up, but the yellow will stay in place. So whether we insert new rows, or take out rows, we will still have the colors in rows 5, 10, 15, etc. So watch as I delete row 7. Right-click on row 7, delete. The data will move up and down, but the colors will stay in the same locations. So, just a quick reminder here too, just revisiting this, if we want every fourth row, we'll come back, highlight the cells, go to conditional formatting, manage the rules, edit the rule right here, change the 5 to a 4. Okay. And now it's every fourth row. And you might imagine, and it's true, in addition to row we have column, if we'd rather highlight the columns, maybe I want to highlight every other column here. Once again I'm going to select the same data we did before, go to conditional formatting, manage the rule, edit the rule, and right here instead of row I'll put in column. And now as I click OK, every fourth column, that only means we're going to get column D and column H, so maybe 2 is going to work better here. We'll change that to a 2. Every other column is about to be yellow. And there we see that effect. I think most people tend to prefer banded rows, but we've got the possibility of doing this. It's all variations on that formula that's currently being displayed in cell I2. So if you like the banded row look, or possibly the banded column look, you can apply it by way of conditional formatting, using a formula, like some of the ones that we used in the examples in this video.